All right, so this is going to be March 6th, 2026. Welcome back to the YouTube, guys. I know it's been a minute. We're actually doing a live recap with some people in my Discord. So if you guys didn't know, this is why you guys should join the Discord. I usually would go live at like 4, 5, 6 p.m. EST to cover the market, give a recap of my trades, as well as kind of like what I'm looking for going into next week. Yeah, just be doing it with my students, and I'd be uploading it specifically for my students. But yeah, I haven't dropped a video in quite some time, so I just want to give some value out to you guys, and yeah, I think it should be helpful. But let's get into the week. Let's kind of start off like what the week, what I was looking at, kind of what I was looking to take a trade on. And yeah, so essentially going into Sunday, right? We had the tension of Israel, Iran, and Dubai all having geopolitical tensions in the Middle East, right? So I already alerted this. I said that we're gonna have a 2% gap up, so this is gonna be most likely a little bit more aggressive than the single-handed Palestine-Israel conflict, and the reason was because we had the U.S. intervening into this issue. So that's why I thought it was going to be a double, like a little bit more, like a double the amount of the range. And you can see we gapped up about 2% in general, right? So not bad on the first wake up. Now, I didn't see any trades going into going into Monday and Sunday, because I don't see any trades in this range, right? Like, remember, these swing lows, right? These are not our normal external swing lows. These are just all internal lows. If we zoom out, right? Well, obviously, our main lows of our main structure are going to be here and here. So you guys know, right, based off mentorship content, like what I've taught you guys, like we really want to be looking for trades, in relation to this range, anything below 50%, right? So I was looking for trades in this area. Now, this was recent structure, and this was a volume imbalance. So we kind of could tell that this was going to be displaced through, because it's just so aggressive. So we're not really going to fill this and go higher. We're going to displace through it. So if we do our Fib analysis from both of these swing lows, right, we really only have I'd say one level, honestly, and that level was going to be around here. And you can see we actually did react off that Q level right here perfectly, 52.75. That's really the only level that you could have had to take in a trade. I actually had a trade. My order was a little bit lower here, and I basically missed it, which is kind of ass. But you could have gotten that for like a up to market close, at least a 1 to let's see if you gotten right here. Stop loss like that. Yeah, I went to at least 1 to 5, so that was like one trade. Now, the trade that I actually missed was I have an indicator. You guys can't really see it. I don't really want to talk about it because it's too saucy. But on the higher time frame, it was essentially signaling that gold could potentially dump pretty heavily based off this structure that was formed here. So really simply, what happened was that we're just looking for a retest of this area of demand. Really, really simple. Like, it was really just this retest of this area of demand, because, well, that's the only area where we had buying and selling pressure, right? So clearly we came in, right? We're going to retest and go lower. And that's exactly what I got in on. So I basically got in on the candle confirmation, right? I was checking the 1 minute and the 3 minute. Oh, what the fuck? I was checking everything, 1 minute, 3 minute, 5. And I basically got in not on the 5 minute, but it was a double. It was like the 1 and 3 minute. It was, yeah, I think it was this candle right here. It was this candle right here. So it was right there, and I had a stop loss right above the high, because we really shouldn't go anywhere past that high. And as you can see, this was literally the fucking top of the move, bro. Like, I'm not even lying, guys. This went for like 45 RR, like a generational trade. Josh was in this trade as well, one of my other students, and he went for a 1-to-1. But the reason what happened was where I got so fucked on this, guys. I would have hit literally 150K a day, like double max payout on everything, like 20K on personal, bro. I would have made so much money, bro. I'm so salty still about this. But what happened was after we dumped at like this, I really didn't think we had any reason to retrace back to our entry point and then go lower. And after we opened up on this candle, like if I could do the replay future, we basically opened up on this candle right here, right? And we opened up, right? We made this top wick, and we started spinning down. So I'm like, okay, like if this is the high, like we shouldn't go past this high, right? It's very, very unlikely that we're gonna go and retest this high again and then end up going higher and then end up just dumping, because you will rarely see that, right? So I trailed my stop loss to break even right here at this high, and what do you know? Price comes up to just retest the area of supply again like this, and then just fucking hits the bed, bro. Hits the bed. And I didn't want to take a trade off anywhere off here, and then I didn't really see anything on the order book and order flow, and that was it. That was where we just fucking dumped, and I was a like literally, guys, that trade would have been the best trade of my whole career, but it is what it is. And then after that, we just couldn't trade. We really couldn't take any more trades, and yeah. But now, since we've kind of shifted structure on the higher time frame, right? And my indicator obviously has showed that we're back into this range, and we were expecting that bearish that big bearish down move. Well, now our whole bias is now going to be bearish because we have to do our high and low analysis, right? At this low right here, there was really no absorption going on, no real limit buying or selling. So this low that was made was just people taking profit. And if you also look right here, right, this move here, it did not take out this low right here. Okay, it love tapped it, but that was not an aggressive tap for there to be any type of quote unquote liquidity being swept or anything like that. So we do want to see this price action go lower and take out this low again. So this is going to be our high probability target, especially in this swing leg, right? And that's exactly what I was looking for, right? So I'm essentially I'm looking to take a trade down to this swing low right here. But my system and one of my strategies, I go for like a 1 to 3 usually. So yeah, basically essentially we were just looking for my whole entry was I was essentially looking for a retrace off this leg right here like this, and then essentially waiting for those deeper levels to be hits, right? And then looking for a confirmation and then entering off that trade. And well, you guys should know my most favorite confirmation is going to be our RSI divergence. And yeah, that was a trade basically. So once price ended up retracing on Asian Open, again, we're not taking any trades here. We're not trading this range. Oh, also, let me bring the VWAP out. VWAP is very, very far from here as well. So during this time, like here, and also let me pull out the volume profile as well because you want to get that as well really quickly. Yeah, fuck. Let me do it like this. Anchor right here. Oh, fuck me. Okay, well, it still works out. So you guys can see it on the left right here. It's a bit big, but yeah, good stuff. Okay. Now, great. This is great. I know it looks a bit messy, but remember, we really only have these up for our analysis for our levels, and then after that, we just kind of delete them, right? But yeah, essentially, if we go in here, right, once price hits our key level, our extreme area of essentially demand, right, or excuse me, supply in this area right here, we're just looking for another confluence, right, that confirms it. And essentially you can see right here, we basically have that divergence, right? We make a higher high right here, and then we make a lower high right here, like this. And then if you go down to the lower time frame as well, we see that kind of playing out in real time. So if I zoom in, you can see we're making that higher high like this, and then we make that lower high, or excuse me, we make that higher right here, and then yeah, lower high right here on the RSI divergence. And then I then went down to the 1 minute as well, just to confirm as well that was going on. And it was going on, obviously not as clean, but I usually enter on the 1 minute, right? And like it was like this basically, but overall we see that divergence playing out. And then yeah, really simple stuff. I just market order sold. I got in on it was either this candle or this candle, whatever happened. I just got in filled out on average like right here like this, and I had the stop loss kind of big actually. It was I think it was 2, I don't even know, but anyways, my whole TP was this internal low right here basically for a 1 to 4 actually. I discretionarily went for a little bit more actually. So I think it was like it was right above this high. And then yeah, I went for that 1 to 4 like this. Let me do it a little bit more like this, like right here. Look at that, boom. And yeah, you guys, I made a recap of this on my TikTok, and that was the trade that we took. So 1 to 4, really clean. We retraced, hit our level of supply because as a retest, and then we waited for that divergence. Got in on that 1 minute candle closure right around here. Now, one thing I will say is you could have actually, if you missed this, you could have re-entered. Right? Why? The reason is because this is pretty inefficient, right? This imbalance that was made, this aggressive displacement, it was way too inefficient. So we dropped down pretty aggressively, and you could have just played the retrace back into the imbalance, right, off this internal structure now, like this. And then obviously that's our perfect 786 retrace, right? You just get in right there. Maybe you enter off a candle confirmation either here or just you limit order off that. Stop loss above the high, right? And with very high confidence, you can take this trade back down to an internal low, which obviously is going to be right down here. This is the most obvious low. And now, why this low as well, why I was so confident was because you can see right here, this wick is super aggressive, right? If we go down the 15 second as well, this wick is super, super aggressive, right? So, we really shouldn't see like a wick like this. It's going to be most likely traded back into and arbitrage into. So that's why I was so confident. It's not just going to love tap it. So that's why it's going to clear it a little bit, fill the order book, and then end up, going higher. And that's exactly what happened, right? Look, you can see we took out that low because people were logically, that was the most logical point for the algorithms and people to take profit, and then we end up retracing, right? So if you got in on that re-entry, same stop loss, you could have gotten up to like anywhere from like a 1 to 5.7. If you got in, like, again, I don't know why you would get in right here. Maybe or take TP right there, maybe because of your Q level, right? You can see we have our Q level of 51.25 right there. But I just want to throw out 1 to 4, and we printed. We're up on the week now. Basically, the next trade that I was looking at was because we're in this range now, right? Everything you can kind of tell if you zoom out is pretty efficient. Now, this is where our volume profile comes in. If I go down to the move up now to the higher time frame, you can see that what do we have over here, guys? What do we have over here? I'm gonna quiz you guys right here. What do we have here? Correct, it's a volume profile, but what specifically is this area? Why is this area important that I marked out? Right, but there's a specific name for this. What is this area called right here? Hey, Cassius, bro, you went through phase 2 content. You should know this through the back of your mind. Even if you don't trade it though, you should. But I still covered it as a concept in the mentorship content in phase 2. Anyways, I'm not gonna bash you over it, but it's called the low volume node. Okay. So exactly. So a low volume node is where price will trade into, because that is a volume inefficiency based off auction market theory of where price will potentially find new areas of balance, right? And you can see right here as we close, or at this point in time, it still looked like this. So you can see right here, if you mark out that level with our tool, well, clearly this area is going to be somewhere here, right? So what we should see is, if we're assuming that price will now take out this low because there's no buying and real buying going on right here, right? And our indicator is obviously shifted bearish on the higher time frame, and we have a bearish market structure shift on the higher time frame, like a change of character. Well, most likely, what are we going to do? We're going to probably hit some area around here and then end up going out to continue the trend and then take out this low. Because now what have we done here, right? What have we done here if we kind of mark out the swing structure like this, right? If you mark out the swing structure, right? What is this? Change of character, right? Change of character right here. Boom. So simply, we're expecting that retrace, hopefully, and then to then take this lower. Now, obviously, if this gets invalidated, this area over here gets some type of invalidation of where we see a lot of buying coming, a lot of bidding coming in, and we end up maybe closing above here, well, then simply we could just play the retest and then go higher like that, right? But overall, we can't play both ideas at the same time. So my whole understanding was, listen, really simply, I'm literally just taking a trade off this area of our low volume node into our VAH, into our potential VWAP that was aligned at this time, to then take this overall lower on the higher time frame. Now, as you can see though, that didn't really happen because we gapped up, we end up reacting off that Q level again and just selling off, right? People just, I guess, wanted to sell. The algorithms, institution, they just wanted to take advantage of whatever this price action. But remember, guys, overall, based on our high and low analysis, we have a high here, we have a new high right here. So you can say, quote unquote, it is liquidity, right? Quote unquote liquidity, but overall just order book areas of where we would want to sell into, right? So like I said, all I want to really see is price trade into this area still, and then for into Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, sell off, take out this low, and really our last area is going to be off this structure, this leg right here. We have these obvious swing legs right here, but if we use this swing low, right, we have really this area right down here, right? Our 786 is going to be this area of demand. So I want to kind of see potentially price hit into this area, then end up having some type of reaction, and we'll just get in and then take it all the way back up to this high, because I do think we could still go for some more. We could still have one more potential high play out, because this is our overall area of supply, right, on the higher time frame, and this is kind of inefficient over here. So we just got to see. Right. I will say on my evals, I might take a discretionary trade back. Oh yeah. This is what I want to say as well. So that's kind of the analysis going into what I was thinking over here, but it didn't play out, right? Which is why I just stayed out, because I didn't see any trades. And then I just didn't like this. Remember, we're just in this range, right? We're just in this range. I didn't see any trades. I will say though, I'm gonna delete this for now as well. My student Josh, he did end up taking try to take this trade, which is again another RSI divergence play right over here. We make that higher high here, right? We make that higher high here, and then he would have he shorted right on this candle confirmation right there. Perfect candle confirmation, stop loss above the high, and he was going for a 1-to-1. Now you can see, remember guys, this is the bread and butter setup, but you can have one more divergence occur. So what happens, right? After we make a new high, right? You can see right here we're making these new highs. We're still made another lower low right here, right? If we compare this lower low, or excuse me, lower high on the RSI right here, you can see it's lower, right? This is lower right here, low, low, low. So you can kind of see, right? We're gonna have the reversal imminent, and once we have that double confirmation right here, well, it doesn't hurt to take one more trade. And then he missed this because he was too scared, and he could have taken the discretion early, but that was a trade. And then he could have taken it all the way to the low right here, which is like a 1-to-4. Any one of these lows end up obviously giving out like a up to like a 1-to-6. Goddamn. Actually, no, 1-to-5.9. But we obviously wouldn't be going. Logically, we'd just be going to like a the VAL right here. Or like a 1-to-4. So like you can see, he would have made 3 RR net on this trade, 3 or 4 RR net, which is great. But you know, that was just a perfect setup. Again, discretionary, even though it was high probability. I'm just applying my strategy right now because I just, based off last month, I didn't want to trade discretionary because you guys know I got kind of cooked trading discretionary, right? But yeah, that was the trade. The only trade for then. And then yeah, there's really nothing else. We don't really have we didn't have a clean divergence over here down there. But yeah, you know, we just consolidated, chopped again, retested this area, NFP came out, and then we're kind of chugging up. Now, I will say, actually, let's pull the volume profile back up again. The trade that I do want to take discretionarily is, like I said, I do want to see us trading to this level, and then have that sell off, right? And then make that bottom wick in this area over here, and then have this be the low. Yeah, it's chill, monkey, I think. If you want to mute yourself, have this be the low of the month, and then end up fucking pumping for March and then April, right? But like I said, the trade that I really want to see us take is gonna be right here. Why? Or not? What am I saying? It's gonna be based off a volume profile trade. It's gonna be right here, this level right here. Or not that, right here. You see this level right here? This area of low volume, this perfect low volume. It's not a low volume, no, but it's a low volume pocket, right? We have one over here, but I do think that based off, you can see right here, we have this low made, this relative low made that was in New York, and this area of low volume now that was made by the end of the week. So I do want to see us overall trading in this area, right? Like this, and then end up having that reaction to go higher like this. Now, obviously, we got to manage our risk. And this could just, you know, end up just dumping like this. It could obviously happen, which is why, you know, this is why, you know, you're using your analysis. You're using high probability analysis to take a trade, right? So that's where I want to take a trade from, over here, right? Like right here, perfect, like right off this low. And then, yeah, that'll be a good discretionary trade. We can take this, up to, you know, somewhere here. Stop loss is going to be, below this area right here. So give some more breathing room, actually a little bit more, so like 6. Yeah, we could take it up to this high right here, like a 1-to-3 would be perfect. Like, it's not shooting anything crazy, because remember, we're gonna have a reaction once we hit VWAP, right? Remember, we also have our VWAP coming like this, so trading up to VWAP is pretty probable. Now, obviously, if we just gap up during open like this, and we hit our level, well, we can't do anything about that. We're just gonna probably have to sell and then be okay with the reaction that happens here, like a relative fucking retrace off this level, and then it'll just hopefully maybe it won't play out how we think, and then it'll just end up continuing that downtrend down to this swing low down here, right? So we just gotta wait. But I will say, if you do want to look for another confirmation, right, wait for some type of internal structure, even though, again, I don't like internal structure, but again, it adds a confluence for probability, right? Because what's the whole thing that waiting for an internal structure break does, right? It allows you to not get just cooked on a limit order stop out like this. So you can wait for the level to get hit, wait for some relative swing high to be made right here, wait for some type of retrace, and then wait for a break above that relative internal high, wait for the retrace, and then go higher like this. right? That would be your highest probability trade, and then your entry would have been somewhere around here, right? And then you just take it all the way up for if you want that extra confluence. But remember, this is just like optimal. Every time I mark out optimal structure, it's like swing structure like this, it's always optimal. It's never gonna be like the full, like what really happens a lot of the times. Like you might just hit this level and we just might pump up like that, which in that case you can't take the trade. You know what I mean? So yeah, I will say this is one area. Again, this is discretionary. This is not the strategy or whatever. This, you could take a discretionary trade from here all the way up to here, and then end up taking shorts all the way down from here, right? All the way down from here. All the way down from here, all the way down to the swing low right here, like this. And then that might play out over a couple of days. So, I mean, intraday though, like I said, you should be able to get like a good 3-4 hour maybe out of these trades. Who knows? All right. But I hope that was helpful to you guys. Do you have any questions? I'm gonna delete everything now. Great, awesome. So I think that was a pretty good wrap up. For everyone watching on YouTube, I hope this was helpful to kind of give you an understanding of how I do my analysis, and give you kind of insights into what I use. Like, I mean, I shouldn't be even giving this for free, bro, but I will because I love you guys. So please go drop a sub, drop a like, and enjoy your night, guys. Thank you to the YouTube audience as well. All right, take care.